I've had bipolar since I was a little child. And the reason I know that is because my report cards illustrate that through one report card showing that I was very shy and quiet. Those grades were really great. And then the next report card would show that I was very gregarious and was upsetting the classroom, and those grades were not as great. I was, again, the same in high school. I'd have very good grades and then not so good grades, but I did graduate third in my class. And then, of course, in college, I had a very long manic episode and did a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have been doing. I kept that all secret because I didn't really know that I was bipolar. I knew that I was doing a lot of risky types of behavior that I shouldn't have been doing, but I didn't know why I was doing it. And no one around me knew why I was doing it, but they thought I was a lot of fun. You know, they thought I was very intelligent and a lot of fun. So nobody really questioned as to why those things were happening. And I really didn't get the diagnosis until I was in my 40s. We had just moved into our house and built our house, so that was a lot of stress. And my father, who had lived with us for 12 years, had just passed away. And I had 4 small children that I was taking care of, and my husband had just started a new job here in Sarasota, so there was a lot of pressure on me to do a lot of different things, and I had become very depressed and tried to kill myself. I was off to the emergency room, and that's how we discovered that there was something that was really wrong. In 2011, I was so very busy with everything that I was doing. I had started a new foundation and was very busy with that. I had children that had certain requirements for things that they were doing. I had a good friend who had just died. I was so busy with everything. My child even had pictures of me using the computer while I was cooking dinner. I mean, I was just hands in too many things at once. And I was very manic during that time, and also depressed. And so when you're depressed and you're manic, that's a good time to try to kill yourself, because you have the depression, but you also have the ability to do something about it. And that's when you try to kill yourself. So I knew that I was in trouble, so I went ahead and hired staff for my foundation, and then abruptly went and tried to kill myself again. We thought we were handling everything, keeping it secret, but really people were kind of, you know, talking under their breath, going, "What's going on?" Because I would go to the office and I'd be very irritable. I'd swear like a sailor, you know, and the people at the office thought, "This is awful. Look how she talks. This is terrible." I'm sure they just thought, this is just a terrible thing. And then I had no memory because of the ECT, so I would go and make appointments and do things like this and then forget about them. And this office staff would have to cover for me and go to the meetings and take care of those things, and I'm sure they didn't appreciate that too much. And then I can remember a conversation with one of the staff members where she said she was going to a meeting and she was going to take care of all of the advertising that had been done. And I said, "Well, how much advertising has been ordered?" And she told me, and I said, "Well, that's an awful lot of advertising. Why is that happening?" And she goes, "Well, because you ordered it." The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because last year I was diagnosed with cancer, and I told everybody that I had cancer because I didn't want to make the same mistake that I was about being ashamed of having bipolar disorder. So I told everybody that I had cancer, and it was an outpouring of love from the community. I had so many cards and letters, people coming to my house with food, people offering to do my laundry, which I love, and people, you know, wanting to clean my house, people coming over to visit me, giving me all kinds of gifts and things like that. Well, that didn't happen with bipolar disease, even though the cancer that I have, the mortality was 25%, and the mortality for bipolar disease is about 25%. So these two diseases are on the same level, you know, and we don't look at it that way. So now I want to make sure that everybody knows that I have bipolar disorder, because the funny thing is that the mortality rate with cancer, the kind of cancer that I have, goes down over time. But the mortality rate with bipolar disorder stays the same throughout the lifetime. It's kind of interesting that way. So that's why I wanted to do this interview, because I want people to know that, people with bipolar disease, when they're having an episode like I had, they really do need people to come visit them, bring food for their families, send them cards, check on them. Even if the person says they don't want it, they really do need to have it. And I contributed, and my family contributed unknowingly to the stigma by not telling anybody about it. And had we to do it over again, we never would have done that. That was a big mistake. What I think will help change the stigma, especially here in Sarasota County, is if all of us that are living with the disease will talk about it. That will be the biggest help, I think. That's why I'm talking about it. I know a lot of people in Sarasota County that are busy like I am in the community, that have bipolar disorder, for instance, or have relatives that have schizophrenia. I see them working for all kinds of things, but not for mental illness. And they need to be working for mental illness. They need to take their talents and work for mental illness, because that is one of the biggest problems that we have here in our community, just like on the national level. And it is something that is growing bigger and bigger every year. I think we need to have that. I think people need to turn around and look at that and say, I'm going to help my own people.